Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of TASC Mathematics. Today we're going to be looking at how do you solve linear equations, and these are basic linear equations, or what we call one-step linear equations, using the addition principle and the subtraction principle. Now, whenever you have to solve a linear equation, your aim is to isolate your variable. In all the examples here, my variable is x. Remember, your variable is any letter they chose from the alphabet. But for me today, I'm just going to use x. Your aim is to get that variable by itself. And in order to do that, you need to get rid of who's attached to the variable by using the opposite of the operation. So let's take a look. One of the key things that I tell my students is that when you're solving a linear equation, you should read it. That helps you. This equation states x minus 5 equals 4. Now my aim is to get the x by itself. Connected to the x is a 5. Now that 5 is connected by subtraction. So to get rid of it, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. Notice I'm writing plus 5 on the left and plus 5 on the right. I'm going to draw a line. Now over here on the left hand side, I have a negative 5 and a positive 5. Now my signs are opposite. I'm using the same integer, which means that would be eliminated. When the signs are different, we subtract. 5 minus 5 is 0. Hence, it's eliminated. So I have x all by itself. That was our aim. And then over here on the right, I'm going to combine. Now the 4 and the 5 are both positives. So remember the rule for adding integers. When the signs are the same, you add and keep the sign. So my answer is x equals 9. You can check. So I'm going to write back my equation, which is x minus 5 equals to 4. My value for x is 9. So wherever I see x, I replace it with 9. Take away 5 equals to 4. Now on the left hand side, 9 take away 5 is 4 equals to 4. The left equals the right, so I know that x is 9. Now, if you know that your answer is right, you don't have to check. I usually check if I have a feeling that it might be incorrect. My second problem, I have x minus 13 equals to negative 20. So my aim is to isolate the x. And connected to it is a 13 by subtraction. The opposite of subtraction is addition, and you're going to add 13 because you want to get rid of 13. So I'm going to add 13 here. This is going to eliminate the 13 because remember we want x all by itself. And then here we're going to combine. Now I notice my signs are different. When your signs are different, you perform a subtraction. So I'll go on the side and probably do the working. 20 take away 13 is 7. Who is the bigger number? The 20. So my answer is negative 7. Now many times when I give a test, students would always ask me, how do you enter this in the calculator? And I always say to them, well, if you could enter this in the calculator and get an answer, I would be out of a job. You cannot put x minus 13 equals negative 20 in the calculator and get an answer. Students think they can do that because they see x here and all of these letters. The only thing you can put in the calculator is the arithmetic. So if you're on the calculator section, you have to know how to solve this. All you can put in the calculator is negative 20 plus 13 and hit the enter and get negative 7. You cannot put the entire equation in the calculator. All of us teachers would be out of jobs if the calculator could do that. Again, if you want to check, write your equation. X minus 13 equals to negative 20. I'm going to replace x by its value, which is negative 7 minus 13, hoping to get negative 20. Remember my little rule, if the negatives follow each other, your answer is negative, and you're just going to add these two. 7 and 13 gives you 20. The left equals the right. So your answer is correct. Now, they don't have to write their equation, I would say, the standard way, like this one. They can write it any way they want to. You have to remember you're solving for x. You need to get x by itself. Connected to the x is this minus 2. You need to get rid of it. So you're going to do the opposite. You're going to add 2 to both sides. That's eliminated. X is all by itself. These two are both positives, so you're going to add. Your answer is 12. Many students don't like writing it this way. They like their x always on the left, so if you want to, change it around. X equals 12. Let's look at the subtraction principle. So again, I have 3 problems. Here's my first one. X plus 16 equals 21. My aim is to isolate the x, which means I need to get rid of the 16, which is connected by plus. The opposite of addition is subtraction. So I'm going to have to subtract 16 from both sides. This is eliminated, so I get x. Again, this is a combination. Right here, you're combining. My signs are different. When they're different, you're going to subtract. So when I subtract, I get 5. Who's the bigger? The 21. So your answer is positive 5. If you want to check, write your equation, which was x plus 16 equals to 21. The value you found for x was 5 plus 16. You're hoping it would give you 21. When you add 5 and 16, the left equals the right. So your answer is correct. Here, for the second one, I have x plus 30 equals negative 5. My aim is to solve for the x. Notice I like to put a box around the x to remind myself that x is who I'm trying to isolate. This is very helpful if you've never taken algebra before. So I have to get rid of the 30. It's connected by addition. Do the opposite. You're going to subtract 30 from both sides. That's eliminated. You got your x all isolated. Now over here, notice your signs are the same. When your signs are the same, you add. So this will be 35, and you keep the sign. So your answer is x equals negative 35. If you want to check, write your equation, the original, which was x plus 30 equals negative 5. Your value for x was negative 35 plus 30. You're hoping when you do the math, you get negative 5. When the signs are different, you subtract. So when you subtract these two numbers in the normal fashion, you get 5. 35 is the bigger, so your answer is negative. Notice the left equals the right, so your answer is correct. Again, if you're going to use the calculator, the only thing you can put in the calculator is the arithmetic, which would be negative 5 take away 30. And you get negative 35. Again, you cannot put x plus 30 equals negative 5 in the calculator and expect an answer. And then again, notice they wrote this equation not in the standard way. The x is on the right, but again, we are trying to isolate the x, which means I need to get rid of the 8. Now the 8 here is positive, So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to minus 8 from both sides. That's eliminated. I have the x all isolated. Over here, again, the signs are different. So I would subtract, which would give me 6. Keep the sign of the larger number. So my answer is positive 6. I hope this video has been helpful on how to solve basic linear equations using the addition principle and the subtraction principle. Always remember you're trying to isolate your variable. So you need to get rid of who is connected to your variable by doing the opposite operation. And remember, you cannot put the equation in the calculator and get an answer. Good luck on your TASC examination.